Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. She has created, I call it an empire. It's the Morse empire of helping people with education, nutritional information, essentially regenerating your life, healing yourself. But before you can have wellness, you need to have understanding. And we're going to talk about a lot today. One thing we will center on is proper hydration and everything that comes along with it. And she is the owner of Morse Wellness, and she's back. Terry Morse is on the program. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Steve, it's really great to be back with you. I really love talking with you. Thank you.
Same here. Learned so much. And I've been thinking lately about even calling upon your services because I'm a train wreck when it comes to my health, and when it comes to food and nutrition and all of that. I think I derailed like a year and a half ago, but that's for a different time. Why don't we recap things that we've talked about the last number of times that we've gotten together?
Thank you so much, Steve. I'd like to just mention that my mission is to teach people how their bodies work and to share practical ways to be healthy by eating correctly, which a lot of people think they know how to do and really aren't, and also by supporting the body's own detoxification processes. So the last few sessions that we did, we talked about digestion, we talked about salt, we talked about minerals and microbes. And so I'd like to go into hydration today and appreciate your speaking about understanding, because most people think it just means drinking water, and that is not what it means. Mm-hmm. So I'll go into that. Can I pursue a little further?
Jump on in.
Okay, so I want to cover today just the main points of what the heck is hydration, what does it mean, and pH balancing also, and why water is not always the answer to hydration, and what kind of water should be utilized, and what is the effect of dehydration, and how do you get dehydrated, and why can't you stay hydrated all the time? These are really important points, and unless you understand them, you'll just think, well, I'll drink some high pH water, I'll drink more water, and that'll do it. That is definitely not going to do it. So my focus is to begin at the beginning is what is hydration. Are you ready for that?
Let's go.
Okay. So hydration actually means cell absorption of the fluids, the water. And we say water in the body, we're 70% water, but actually it's like plasma. It's not literally water like it comes out of our faucets. It's plasma that is water-ish. It's a different form of water. And we have to know this water, this fluid is getting absorbed into the cells because they can't live without it. They can't live without being hydrated. And so the organs, therefore, won't function at their highest level if the cells are not hydrated. And the mitochondria that are inside the cells will not function at their highest level. And their function, just to give an aside, is to detoxify the body. In every respect, they are the ones that are responsible for getting rid of cancer cells. And everybody's kind of on the alert on that today because it's happening all over, even in our young people. So getting the hydration into the cells, getting the mitochondria to work properly, and they are the powerhouse of the cells, that is the key. That is the issue we're dealing with. And so you probably have some questions right out the top.
Thanks for clarifying that it's not just water in your body. And if we have a fair amount of water, I've heard that it should be in ounces, half your body weight. Number one, is that correct? Number two, is that sufficient in terms of keeping you healthy?
Those are very good questions, and there is no direct answer because it depends on what a person is eating and what their stress levels are. Some people, and their weight. Well, you mentioned the weight. So some people need more. For instance, if a person is eating in such a way that it's causing a lot of dehydration, then they're going to have to use a lot of other tools to hydrate. Those who are eating properly and not combining, as we mentioned in the second class, I believe, the starches and the proteins, not putting them at the same meals, like not eating a meat sandwich, not eating your potatoes with your meat, those are dehydrating conditions. So if you're doing more of that, you're going to need to drink more water, but also different types of water. So it just depends. Like if a person is eating clean, meaning they're separating their meats from their starches at different meals, if they're eating fresh vegetables and not overcooked, then they won't need quite as much water because they're not dehydrating themselves by what they're eating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. By the way, I want to tell you that I've shared with many people what you said when having a steak, not to have starches with it, because, as I understand it loosely, it can rot. The meat will rot in your stomach because of that. And I'm actually going to have a steak tonight, and I'm thinking about what veggies I have. I believe I got some broccoli, maybe some peas, but definitely no potatoes, no rice, nothing like that. So, I learned from you. I really do, Terry.
Well, I know that you do listen, Steve, and I'm glad you're applying it, but I would like to ask you to take another step, and that is really pay attention to how you feel, because at some point when you get kind of in the habit of that, and it could happen immediately, you will feel different. You will feel cleaner, you'll feel lighter, and you won't feel heavier. I love a steak, but when you put a potato with it, it just pulls you down. Your energy level goes down, down, down.
And I recall that. I'm not even just saying that because you said it. There's been times where I've had steak, and you always have a starch with it. We love potatoes. Where I felt like, it was good, but so, and not having that, having a different type of vegetable, I've noticed a big difference. So there is definitely, not like I doubted it, but definitely truth in what you're saying there.
Well, Steve, that's such an important point, because unless we can prove something to ourselves, there's really not much point in doing it long term. I mean, you can follow someone's advice initially to test it out, but everything should be tested to see how it works for you. And if you feel that, that's great. So I'm going to say what happens. Like sometimes, you're out and I don't know about you, but I'm talking with friends and I forget what I'm doing, and I'm eating something that really isn't appropriate, but I just don't realize what I'm doing. I'm eating it. It's right in front of me. So then what happens when you do that? Well, what that does is it dehydrates the body more, because the body has to put out additional energy to process those foods that are not compatible with each other. For instance, there are different enzymes that are produced and different chemicals in the body that are produced, like hydrochloric acid, to process different foods, and they're not compatible. A lot of them neutralize each other, so then the foods, like you say, the meats rot and the starches will ferment. So what do you do? Well, that's where enzymes come in. We did cover that pretty thoroughly in the previous one, so eating extra enzymes. But also, like a half an hour after a meal is a good time to drink water. It's not a good idea to drink any kind of fluids with our meal, and that's another thing that Americans are always doing.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's hold on.
Wait, Steve, wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I'm just going to say one more thing. Because people have told me they have to have fluids to, quote, wash their food down. That is so far away from health, because you should be chewing it to the point that it becomes a liquid, and then you should swallow it. Liquids should not be with your meal. Yeah.
Well, I lost that debate. I have a very close friend. We get together. We go out to dinner, and she never drinks anything. And I'm like, how? How do you do that? Like, I need to. I just find it refreshing after a bite, having a drink maybe, or every 2 bites, having a drink. Is it so bad for you?
Oh, yes, it is, because you're diluting the digestive fluids in your stomach, and you're not chewing your food properly if you're doing that. Do you chew your food 35 times?
I'm going to say no. Oh, wow. I'm kind of blown away here. We're at a pass.
Well, I'm just saying, this is what makes a person healthy or not healthy, because you will create more stress. And see, your body cannot process those chunks of things that go down.
Well, point taken. We have to chew our food, but even moving past that, the liquid going with it, even if it's just water. What if you have issues with let's say reflux? Let's say challenges there. You're telling me no matter what, you should not be drinking with your meal?
Okay, so you've got a condition you're talking about, reflux. And
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to
people
figure
say,
out. Yeah, okay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good question. And so you have to always moderate suggestions. Ideally, you should not drink with your meal. But if you're in the process of transitioning from an ill health state to health, maybe there's a little, if you've got some discomfort going on down there. But really the issue is that you're not taking enough enzymes or the right enzymes, because there are many different enzyme formulas. If you were, then the food would be processed properly and you would not feel like you needed the liquid. Now, the liquids, they're refreshing, but you should be drinking them like 15, 20 minutes before you eat and then a half an hour or so after you eat. Just leave the eating alone.
Wow. And it's such a, and I don't mean to focus here, but it's such a social thing when you're out.
I know.
Right? Where, you have a glass of wine, have a bite, have a glass of wine, have a sip of wine. Interesting. Very interesting.
Well, a sip of wine is not a lot of wine. Okay, so I'm going to, but I know people have soft drinks and water and lemonade and tea, sloshing it down. That's not what that's what I'm talking about.
That's me. That's me. That's totally
but
me.
You said wine.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying I'm the one that I have, I will take a drink after almost every bite, maybe every 2 bites, somewhere around there, because it just feels dry. Even if I chew it a lot, it's just like, ugh,
Okay, so then let me ask you a question. Did you drink 20 minutes before your meal?
No.
That's what you need to do.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Okay, so we'll pass that one on now.
Excellent. No. I'm telling you, this is a game changer for a lot of people. We learned a lot on this one.
I know. I mean, I realize that not everybody is going to follow what I say, and that's perfectly fine. I'm only caring about people who want to do what I'm saying I know works, and then I'm going to help them get into better health. So now let me go further, okay?
Sure.
Because water needs to be living. In the past, when people were drinking from mountain streams, that was not a problem, okay? But anything that has been processed, anything that has been bottled or processed in your home through a machine is dead, okay? I don't care what they call it, it's dead. So what you have to do is make it alive. Dead water is not going to help you if you put dead things in your body. So how do you make your water living? What do you add to your water? Well, there are various things that you can put in. And this is also going to help the pH of the water, because water that has been processed is very acidic. Usually, I know I have had a pH machine that alkalizes your water. It's still going to be dead, though, even if it's high pH. Anyway, here's what we do. Salt. We talked earlier in the first class about a lot of salt, and that would be the good salts. The Premier Research Labs in Austin, Texas, has an excellent salt. Himalayan salt is kind of a moderate way. I mean, there's some problems with Himalayan toxicity and that type of thing. Celtic salt is very good, but you can't really get it anymore because it's so popular. At least I haven't been able to. And then there are several other good salts. But a pinch of salt in each glass of water. I prepare a whole gallon of water at a time, and I just pour it into glasses whenever I need it, or cups or anything. But minerals, I'm going to say this. We should be putting minerals back in our water. First of all, never, ever, 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 ever drink just distilled water or what is that other one? The one that has no minerals in it. You have to have a mineralized water. So Trace Minerals is a company. Trace Minerals is a company that sells trace mineral supplements. And people can get it from a company in Colorado called Infinity. And I'm going to give the phone number, 800-733-9293. It's real easy, 800-733-9293. Now, just tell them that you're a client of mine, even if you have never met me, Terry Morse, and they'll put you into my group and you'll get special attention. Because there actually are companies, small companies like this, that will talk to you instead of just, you're just a number. But trace minerals, very important to put a few drops of that in your water, salt, and also something called Cell Power. Cell Power is also by the Infinity Company. Well, they don't make it, but they sell it. It's a distribution place. And Cell Power puts more oxygen and hydrogen into your water and makes it pH balanced. It's a much better way to go than buying pH balanced water or high pH water, which frankly, I've seen this with clients. High pH water can actually make people worse. I've seen it repeatedly.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's something that's a myth out there, you know.
Let me ask on this point here. There's a number of products. My friend is very big into something called, and I'm not endorsing anything, I'm just sharing the name. He is an EMT and suggests something called drip drop, which brings in electrolytes into your water. I don't know if that's, stuff like that is, and I'm finding it on the website here so I can give you, more details of exactly what it is. But they say it's dehydration relief fast because of the electrolytes that are in there. Stuff like that. Does it sound like that's a good idea to add to your water?
That's excellent. That's very, very excellent.
Okay.
I don't know that product, but that's an excellent approach because the cell power is actually an ionic solution. And it sounds like this is ionic as well, and it has electrolytes. There's a big market out there for anything that's in the health field today, as you know, so you have to be careful. But I think Drip Drop I think it's a good company. But putting the salt in the water, I want to cover before we finish because our time gets eaten up real fast.
Sure.
I want to cover some other things that cause dehydration because people think it's just water. A lot of people do. But it isn't. It's stress. And, who isn't under stress these days? So you've got physical, emotional, mental stress, EMF stress, radiation stress, too much sun, too much cold, microwaves, all kinds of things. And this will cause dehydration very, very quickly. And that is one of the reasons why it's important to have a good quality water, such as you're talking about with Drip Drop, with cell power, with trace minerals, with putting salt in your water. That makes a huge difference. Does that make sense?
Wow. That's amazing that you say that stress can strip you of the essential things. I was dealing with a lot of stress over the summer. I might have shared with you that after lab results, my vitamin D level was almost non-existent.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and I was feeling kind of just brain foggy and just not myself in the last couple of weeks. And I just called the doctor. I'm like, I didn't even do a lab test. I'm like, can you just give me another prescription for vitamin D? A couple of days later, I feel better. So stress strips you of just about everything that's important. Really does.
Yep. As an example, the mineral zinc, which is a very important, everybody knows that one, that will deplete out of your body instantly if you have an emotional reaction, like when you're driving and somebody cuts in front of you. It'll just deplete. It's amazing.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. If you did want to buy any of these products with the electrolytes and all of that, you're saying that it's reasonable to add salt to your water, tiny bit, the right kind?
Well, yes, because a good salt is a living thing, and it has 70 to 80 minerals in it, including all of the electrolytes. So you're adding something living to it, and you're adding minerals and the electrolytes. That's very, very important. It's an easy thing to do. Nobody should go anywhere without salt in their pocket or their purse. It should be a container of salt that you're snacking on constantly, 5 or 10 times a day. We covered that in the first class. It's really important. That alone can hydrate someone without water. As an example, I drove down to Missouri and to Tennessee to visit friends last month, and, it's a long drive, and I don't want to stop unless I need gas, right? And so, if I get dehydrated, I just eat more salt, and it hydrates me because the water that's in my body is going to go deeper into the cells when I get more sodium at the cellular level. And we covered all that, I think, pretty much in the first class, but people don't realize how important sodium is for hydration. It's not just water. You have to have the sodium to carry the water inside the cells. Really easy.
Wow. Learned a lot here because what's going on is we look at sodium as a bad thing because of, it got a bad rap. It's bad for you. High blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. I don't even touch salt. I do not touch salt.
No, wait, Steve, stop. We had our first class about 4 months ago. I know you must have used salt more since then, since I talked about that, didn't you?
Oh, yes, but I'm saying prior to that, it has always been my... I've blocked it out of my mind. I don't add salt to anything. Although I will say, I had some seasoning, like if I'm going to do a steak. Like tonight, I'm going to put some garlic down on it, a little bit of butter. I'm going to put some salt in there, some seasoning. But I wasn't normally doing it until we talked about it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Just remember, every time you're putting salt on your food, you're helping your body make hydrochloric acid. It's something that your stomach produces if it can. And if you're putting that chloride ion in there, it can make hydrochloric acid, and that will break down your food better. So you are increasing your digestion when you add salt to your food. That's the purpose of it. Now, I'm going to go into the 1930s because that's when they decided to make a little fake research study with a few rats to come up with their conclusion that salt raised blood pressure. Well, the fact of the matter is, blood pressure was elevating in the early 1900s when people stopped eating enough salt because they stopped using salt to preserve their food, and they were using refrigeration. And that's when high blood pressure started to go up. So it's actually the lack of salt that made the high blood pressure go up. It's all fake. It's all backwards. We have to understand that.
Interesting. We're learning so much. You're amazing. And these just are basic things that we have misinformation, misconceptions about all of these things, like salt, like drinking when you eat.
Right, right.
Wow.
Well, and here's another piece of data, because sometimes data is important to people, and you can a person could look this up, and it's definitive, it's a fact, it's in medical books. Doctors study it in medical school, and then they forget it. And that is that at the cellular level, the ideal and most important ratio of sodium to potassium is 2.5. So what does that mean? 2.5 times more sodium than potassium at the cellular level. How could it be a bad thing? Sodium pulls water into the cells, and that's called hydration. That's how you hydrate. Make sense?
Totally. Wow.
Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes left. Anything to add to what we're talking about when it comes to hydration?
Definitely. I want to talk about pH, because when you're dehydrated, instantly your pH goes more acidic, and everybody wants a nice alkaline pH in their tissues. That does not mean that everything that you put in your mouth should be alkaline, because that isn't the criterion. That's not how the body works. So that's where apple cider vinegar comes in. The more apple cider vinegar a person uses, I pour it on all my food. I make a drink with it, with ginger, pureed ginger root and honey, and drink a whole thermos of it every day. But the apple cider vinegar is acidic when it goes in your mouth, but it's got very loose bonds, and so it will break apart very easily and actually create an alkaline condition in the body, which then allows you to become more hydrated. So that and fresh air, moderate exercise, and eating properly, like we talked about, and plenty of salt. These are so important because until wait a minute, let me back up. A person will not feel sick unless their pH is out. So if you can keep your pH in a nice balance with enough salt, enough apple cider vinegar, honey is very alkalizing to the system, as long as you don't do too much, ginger root, a good quality water, all of that, then you can keep your health, as long as you're eating properly and not putting the wrong things in and all of that. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
It's actually easy. It's really easy.
It really is. And even the things, even not drinking while you're eating is easy to do, but it was my belief, and I'm sure many others, that you got to be doing that. That's important for you to do.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Just like they say 5 servings of fruit every day is important. That's a bunch of baloney, too.
Wow. This is why we have you on here. Somebody wants to talk directly with you, maybe have a consult. How do they do that?
They should go to my website and contact me through the contact form, and it's my last name, Morse, like Morse code, M-O-R-S-E, morsewellness.org. And then they can go to the contact and make a connection with me. It comes right to me, and we can set something up. That would be cool.
I'm actually afraid to talk in depth with you about
You are not, Steve.
What I do. No, because you're going to say, no wonder, Steve, you feel horrible.
No, I'll be nice to you. I will. I'll be nice to
Well,
you.
I'm afraid to find out what you're going to tell me. It's like, of course. That's what you wonder, Steve, why you have an ulcer. You're wondering why that's bothering you. Are you kidding? Yeah, your shoulder is bothering you. Well, here's why. I'm sure it's all traced back to. Yeah. lifestyle.
But see, here's the thing. I can help you with simple things to do to change. It might seem overwhelming because what I say, and you say, I can't do all that, and this, but I would when I do client sessions, I target this is what you can do. One simple thing, two simple things, and this is going to change you gradually. You can't do it all at once.
Yeah. Wow. Great stuff talking with you. Really was. And I can't wait to talk with my girlfriend, Tina, because she's the one that doesn't drink when she eats. And
right.
We have this debate all the time, and I'm going to have to say you were right. Terry said you were right. Terry, as always, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all the details and look forward next time we get together to learn more.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Bye.